Brandon Moreno versus Henry Cejudo is a fight that I feel the UFC fumbled. I felt like this fight should have happened not once, maybe even twice, maybe even while they were both champions, but we'll get into that in a second. This whole beef started on the weirdest season of The Ultimate Fighter, when champions from regional promotions were brought in to be coached by Henry Cejudo, who fought Demetrius Johnson, and Joseph Benavidez, who also fought Demetrius Johnson. It spawned famous fighters like Kai Kara-France, Tim Elliott, Alexandre Pantoja, and even, of course, Brandon Moreno. If you ask anyone, they'll say the same thing. Brandon was living with Henry Cejudo, almost like Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. They were friends, they were bros.
Cuando voy a Estados Unidos a entrenar, voy con Henry Cejudo a entrenar a Fight Ready, a Arizona. Es como un hermano para mí. Él pues me abrió las puertas de su casa allá en Arizona, no tenía que pagar renta ni nada, solamente mi comida y algunas veces hasta con eso me ayudaba.
Vas a pelear con alguien fuerte de volada, güey.
Yo sé que es entrenador de esa temporada, espero quedar en su equipo ya que tengo una muy buena relación con él y todo su equipo.
Brandon's somebody that I do want on my team, because I'm going to tell you this, the kid is a sleeper. I've trained with him, I know how tough he is. Don't sleep on this kid.
But in order to give the story true context, I'm going to let the most annoying man in all of MMA, Captain Eric Albarracin, tell the entire story about what really happened.
Called him up and said, can we get him a title shot? He's obviously he deserved it, but we needed it immediately. And it was the localist promotion. But we just needed him to have, it could have been this.
Yeah.
He could get on the show.
Yeah.
So we set that up. He was being followed with UFC Embedded. And I believe it was, for Demetrius Johnson, the first one.
Okay.
It was Friday, week before the fight, and I think Henry was cutting weight. And I want to say he didn't want to go down to Tucson. It's about 2 hours away. He was going to be in the corner. And the idea was, hey, Henry, if you're in his corner and UFC Embedded is following you, they're going to have a highlight of Brandon Moreno winning. And I told Brandon Moreno, we call out Dana White, put me in the big show, and now we have a highlight on UFC Embedded. It worked out just like that. Henry was sick. He didn't want to go.
What this little chicken nugget seems to explain is how they were friends, they trained together, how Henry was getting ready for Formiga and Demetrius, and Brandon was one of Henry's main training partners, and so how he also had to get on The Ultimate Fighter, he had to be a champion to be on The Ultimate Fighter, all that stuff that I won't bore y'all with the details with. But he also explains how Brandon was not able to get on the show, being that Henry wanted him on the show, and this is like a weird, okay, if I'm gonna have you on the show, I better have you on my team.
But they didn't put him on. He wasn't the 16th fight. He wasn't top 16 of the fighters. He wasn't on the show. We go to the show. Well, in Tough Brazil 2, Minotauro also there was a fighter on his team that got hurt, and the UFC tried to give him another fighter from another team. I said, no. We can pick our own team. We get to pick the fighter. So we picked one from Team Nogueira, and I said, Minotauro, you're a legend. He'll respect that you want to pick your own guy. They let him pick his own guy. So I said, hey, Henry, you got clout. You're an Olympic champion. You're the coach of the show. Just like Conor McGregor's doing right now on The Ultimate Fighter on ESPN+. You can put him on the show. And he put him on the show. And they took someone out. I'm not going to say who it is, but he's the one champion now. You guys can figure that out.
Okay.
He was pissed. I didn't know that was going to happen, but I didn't know he was going to kick someone out. I just thought we were going to add somebody.
Yeah.
He's on the show. We don't even know who's on the show, by the way. Only one we're communicating with is Brandon through Facebook Messenger. I'm like, Brandon, who's on the show? We want to do research. We want to find out who to get on our team. So he tells us everybody, Tim Elliott, Pantoja, this person, right? So I start doing research. Okay, we see all them. Okay.
He's also saying how Brandon wasn't on the show, but then he got on the show. And the part where he's saying Tim Elliott's on the show, Pantoja's on the show, I highly doubt that happened, because when you're in The Ultimate Fighter, they take your phones away. Even in 2016, 10 years ago, they took your phones away. You had no connection to the outside world. So I have a hard time believing that.
This is where it gets interesting. The day to pick the fighters, you only see them once trained, and then we're supposed to pick them. They're ranked 1 to 16, but we don't know who's seeded. Henry wants Brandon Moreno. my mind, we know Brandon is good. We knew it. But we know they didn't know who he was. So I'm like, nobody's going to pick him first. Of course not. We can get him second. Let's get the highest seed possible. Business, because it would go, if you pick 2, they get 15.
Yeah.
If you pick 3, they get 14 and vice versa. Benavidez wins the flip, picks Tim Elliott. 4th seed, but he's the only UFC veteran, went on to win the show. We get Kai Kara France, 12th seed. We get the call. Dana White's here with the list, the seeds, and I could see them. So I look, and it says number 1 Pantoja. So I'm like, dude, we got it. We can go get the number 1 seed right now. Pantoja's available. He's like, no, I want to pick Brandon Moreno. I'm like, man, business-wise, we're going to send the other guy, the 16th seed, to the other side, though.
Yeah.
He's like, no. I go, Brandon will be there. Trust me, he's going to be there. Business-wise, if we give him 1, if we take 1, if we take...
1, they get 16.
If we get Brandon Moreno, who could be anywhere from 10 to 14, we were thinking, we send them another high seed and we start with a low seed. So we started with 12 and then we're going to get 13. And then they get a pick and they pick the number 1 seed. So they start 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're with 12, 13, 16, right? Tournament's over already. So I'm like, we got to pick Pantoja. He picks Pantoja. Who do you think's number 16 seed?
Moreno.
Friendship's over.
Alex Pantoja, você está pronto para ganhar?
Yes.
Tufi?
Yes.
Seguro?
Yes.
Vamos, hermano. I decided to pick Alex for my first pick because according to the rankings, we knew him being the RFA world champion that it would put him in at least in the top 3.
He's the number 1 seed, and he will fight the number 16 seed, Brandon Moreno.
The luck of the draw, Brandon so happened to be number 16. He's in Team Benavidez now. I'm extremely disappointed. I'm not planning on coaching that fight.
Mira lo que es la vida, lo que me fue a pasar, ¿no?
Square off, boys.
Henry never went to the house. He felt so embarrassed that he didn't pick his best friend. I still feel bad. About it.
Wow, that's the story.
That's the story. But it gets, this is the kicker.
Do people know that?
No.
Wow.
This is the kicker.
Brandon was hurt.
We were all hurt. I felt like an asshole. I still feel bad. But it was a business decision. If I could go back, I could not see myself not doing it again. How would I justify? I don't know the seeds.
Yeah.
Given 16 to them, they would have 1, 2, and 4. And then we would have 16, 12, and 13. The match is already over. But, you know, Henry's brother Angel said he still would have picked Brandon Moreno. So I don't know. But, so what happened was we go to the UFC that night. We're guests of the show.
Yeah.
It's International Fight Week. And I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was Joe Silva. I don't remember who it was back then, 2016. You know what they came up and asked me?
What?
And I'm going to let you figure this one out.
Okay.
First question. Did you pick Pantoja? Tell me why.
I don't know. They want to go to Brandon and tell him that you...
Because they planned it. If you're putting your own guy in and kicking one of our guys out, you're going to have to make a choice. If you pick your best friend, number 1 seed goes to the other side. If you pick the number 1 seed, Brandon goes to the other side. They planned it all along, and they did it on purpose.
UFC.
UFC.
You think they caused this beef?
They caused the beef. Yes, I know they did. Because that's what happens when you put people in. When you go above their head, you don't go over your platoon sergeant and go to your, your lieutenant or your captain and talk about him because that's not good.
Yeah.
Shit's gonna roll downhill one day. They might say yes, but you're gonna catch the shit end.
Did he ever come to you guys and be like, "Yo, what happened?"
And that's when I knew because they do that when you put in someone else.
They're going to try to stir the pot.
When Minotauro got put in, he said, you got to put my brother in too. I said, all right, we'll put your brother in. They gave him 8 wrestlers in a row. Every bad matchup possible. So they know what they're doing. So they knew we're going to make controversy in this thing. You pick your best friend.
So this is where the beef stems from.
The beef stems from after the show. He went to go train Benavidez, and that's what hurt Henry.
The only thing he told the truth about was that Moreno did end up going and training with Joseph Benavidez when Benavidez moved to Colorado for a little bit, and Brandon followed him. But that was because Moreno himself felt betrayed that he was snaked by Henry Cejudo after Henry got him on the show. Now, Eric is trying to be like, I didn't know the matchups, I didn't know the seeds. That could be true. But also, here's another thing. You are literally Henry Cejudo's right-hand man. You are literally on his nuts like a koala. So why don't you listen to him when he says, hey, I brought my friend on the show, I'm going to pick him, no matter who the number 1 seed is. Even if Brandon was the number 1 seed, I'm picking him regardless. Why not just listen to him? I get it, Pantoja turns out to be the champion, the flyweight champion, one of the greatest flyweight champions of all time. But if you get on your knees and beg for your friend to be on the show, you pick him. I don't care what it is. So he's trying to gaslight. He's being a narcissist trying to say, oh, the UFC started this beef. No, it was you little weirdo, you little short guy, short man syndrome. Now, we all know how their careers went shortly after that. Moreno got cut from the UFC, came back, won the championship. Henry Cejudo went and achieved double champ status, solidifying himself as one of the GOATs of the sport. Retired after his fight with Dominic Cruz, came back to fight Aljo, then went on a terrible losing streak after. And then it bared the question, can these two actually fight? Will they actually fight? Henry Cejudo was asked about it during his retirement fight in the build-up to fighting Peyton Talbot last December.
Come back, another Mexican fighter would fight you. Was that Mexican fighter fighting on this card?
Maybe.
Yeah. Have you had any run-ins with him?
No, but I'm not going to entertain that. If I've already called him out a couple of times. It would make perfect sense. We'll do it. I don't want to do it at the White House. Let's do a Cinco de Mayo.
You even want to fight at the White House?
Nah. I'd rather just maybe mow the lawn down there, dude. I don't know, dude. I'm not,
I think you guys might be sitting next to each other at the press conference on Thursday. Right? The way the card's set up, is that going to be...
I don't know. I doubt it. But it is what it is, bro. Like this is some of the stuff that happens. That's happened a long time ago. That's also the beauty too, because it's been pretty cool, man, for me to, become a world champ, especially everything that happened with me and him, how we were close, pretty much living. He was living at my house, training, and I was very, grateful for that stuff too, man. Because I remember I used to get his, from the Greyhound, like he would literally come over to AZ. So the least that I could do is house him and do the whole 9 and train with him. For me, becoming a 2-division champ, he ends up getting cut. And I've always knew Brandon was that good. I've always knew it. So I wasn't surprised when he beat Figgy or when he became champion. I was like, you've always had it. I know the rounds that we gave each other. And then he was able to accomplish it. So sometimes that's the way the journey is made. It's not always a happy ending. I mean, even though who likes happy endings here?
The beef really came to a head when Henry Cejudo decided to train Deiveson Figueiredo in their third fight of their quadrilogy, in which you had Henry Cejudo going against his entire nationality to train a Brazilian. Deiveson said, it's going to be a pleasure to take off Brandon Moreno's head and give it to Cejudo because he betrayed Cejudo. He didn't. If anything, Cejudo betrayed him. Eric Albarracin betrayed him, and he didn't even help him for the fourth fight. So he literally did it just to stab Brandon in the back. And basically, they haven't really been talking about fighting since this past year. But you mean to tell me with the UFC Noche cards that have been taking place over the last 3 years, these two guys couldn't have fought? They could have been a featured bout on the Sphere, or even last year headlining it, because that Noche card last year was so watered down? What were we doing? Moreno said he would have done it. He would have moved up to 135. There was no way in hell Henry was going to cut weight all the way back down to 125. Why didn't this fight happen? I feel like it was on one side and one side only, and that was Henry. You mean to tell me it couldn't have happened last year at UFC Noche? Not even for a title, just a 5-round main event? People would have loved that. It would have been one of the biggest fights in UFC history. Not just UFC history, but also Mexico history, Mexican MMA history, even though I think Henry claims Brazil more than he does Mexico. Literally went against his own nationality to train a fighter for one fight and one fight only. We all know who got the last laugh in the quadrilogy. That was Brandon Moreno. He literally had to wrestle his own knuckle out of Davison Figueiredo's orbital bone. And after that, Henry's karma came to him by losing 7 fights in a row, when in reality, he is the narcissist, he is the gaslighter, him and his little koala bear of a partner, freaking Eric Alberison. And then you have them basically just saying, oh, no, it wasn't us, it was them, it was Brandon, when Brandon literally hasn't even brought this up, when in reality, he said he'll fight him. But we all know Henry didn't make that happen. Even when Brandon was champion, I think they would have let him go up to fight Henry, come back down and defend the title against Pantoja. But still, that never happened. I guarantee you, if this fight would have happened in 23, 24, 25, Brandon would have whooped Henry's ass.